Hello. Just was watching Now Spinning magazine on YouTube. Phil Aston. He's a nice bloke. Um, he's sort of his favourite band of all time is Deep Purple, and the guy on Sea of Tranquility. Can't think of his name now. I haven't watched him in a long time. His favourite band was Deep Purple too. Um, it just got me interested because uh, the best gig I've ever been to in my life. I was never a huge gig goer. Um, I had other interests in life, but there was a period there in the early 70s where I got to see most of the big English bands. Like no American ones, but all English, and they were all great. Pink Floyd, Deep Purple, Led Zeppelin, blah blah blah. Before they turned to shit, they were just in that magic period, and it got me all. Phil Aston was going on about this album, Who Do We Think We Are, which was the last one the Mark II version of Deep Purple made. I might play this today. I haven't heard it in, 40 years maybe. And he's saying it's their best album and best sounding. I know Woman from Tokyo. That's great. Um, that's his favourite. Well, no, he thinks this is a great album, so I'll give it a whirl. Um, and it got me thinking again, and I thought, um, best gig I ever went to was seeing Deep Purple, Free, and Manfred Mann Chapter 3 at Randwick Racecourse in 1971. It was, God, they were all on fire that day. Absolutely, it's hands down the best one I've ever been to. There've been other great ones, but there's just something that they were all so good and amazing. Um, and that's the other thing I'd point out. I'm not a fan of AC/DC. I like a few of their tracks, but I find them a one-trick pony. But after reading a book about them, all the great concerts I went to, starting with the Who and the Small Faces in 1968, Angus and Malcolm were at that too. Now, he's dead, but he was 2 years younger than me. I'm 74, so if he's still alive, Malcolm Young would be 72 today. Um, Angus, I think, was about 4 or 5 years younger than me. Um, he he, uh, he must have been about 12 or something, or 14 maybe, at the Who gig. But the ones that Malcolm and Angus from AC/DC were the most influenced by was the Who, the Small Faces, followed up by, I don't know what other ones they went to, but I know they were also at the Free Deep Purple Manfred Mann one, and I know that they were also, most tellingly, were at the Status Quo and Slade in 72. I think it was 72, yeah, or maybe yeah, 72. Um, I was there. I didn't want to go. I was a chaperone for a 14-year-old sister of a girl I was sort of hanging around with. So I took her, she was too young to go on her own. I was the tallest person in the crowd, and I thought, oh, God, this is so embarrassing. But actually, they were great. Status Quo really were on fire. And Slade, they were both so much better live than on record. I mean, this is true of all these bands I'm talking about, you know. But I thought, well, Status Quo and Slade are sort of uncool they're sort of for the kids. So that's really Malcolm and Angus Young's age group, you know what I mean? But they were all somewhere in the crowd. I was there, and they were in the crowd somewhere. So yeah. Anyway, he was going on about this. Phil Aston was going on about Deep Purple. Now, to be honest with you, I haven't really listened to any hard rock from that era. There's so much stuff that's come after it that I prefer. You know, my favourite times the late 70s, early 80s, to be honest. You know, punk, post-punk, you know, new wave, you know, that sort of wonderful period where synthesizers were really, really, I just that's just my favourite time. But I still have a great fondness for the early 70s, really do. So I'll just show my Deep Purple. I've got four of them. I used to have made in Japan, but I don't have it anymore. But I only like the Mark II Deep Purple. The early stuff doesn't do it for me, and I've never heard anything after me and Gillen was chucked out. Um, so I forgot I actually had this. I showed it on a video recently, or a year ago or something. I forgot I had this Deep Purple in Rock. It's my original Australian copy. And, I mean, I hadn't played it for 40, 50 years. And one day I was going through and I went, what the hell? I forgot I had it. This, of course, that's the one. Machine Head. They really nailed it with this one. Spot on. When this would have been, I don't know, I think this might have been, I don't think this was out when I saw Deep Purple. I think this might have come out just after I saw them. Can't see when this came out. I think this came out in '72. I don't know. Maybe not. Actually, I'm out of sequence there. Yeah, that one. I also had Deep Purple in concert, which I thought it was brilliant. And then after a while, I thought, not really. So that went. Made in Japan disappeared. I don't know why that went because it's a good album. But yeah, then this one came out, Fireball, and um, this is a bit of a bit like who do we think we are and Fireball. They are sort of um, similar in that they try various styles, within the context of the Deep Purple sound. Whereas these two are pretty much straight out blistering heavy rock with a little bit of softness. These ones explore, and interestingly, I've never noticed this before. Look on the back. It's a picture of the Earth, and there's their heads in planets or something floating. So I've never really realised that before. And so these two are sort of from the Mark II Deep Purple. In some ways, these are their best albums, because there are some heavy tracks on this one. I mean, Fireball itself, Demon's Eye, The Mule. I mean, this is a pretty good album. And this one, well, it's got Woman from Tokyo and Rat Cat Blue. They're pretty heavy. So I am waffling here. I watch people's videos and their enthusiasm enthuses me, and then I get on here and just waffle like an silly old bastard. So what I'm trying to say is I don't listen to this sort of stuff anymore. I mean, I love it, as a memory, but it's not, when you get to my age, you're not going to get up and put on Led Zeppelin or Deep Purple or even Pink Floyd. You just, if I'm going to put on records, I'll put on something mostly from the late 70s, early 80s, because that stuff still sounds as fresh as a daisy to me, even though that's almost 50 years ago. So that was a long-winded way of saying, that I was at all the concerts that AC/DC went to, and I know where their influences are. It's so obvious. Anyway, take care all.